This motherfucker here I'm at locked down so much that, I'm really skipping through for real. Stuck in the cell down there. Bro, we'd have been stuck in the cell down there on the yard, not in lockup, none of that, on the yard, 5 months straight. No commissary, no kitchen.
Y'all can't go nowhere.
Man, no commissary, no kitchen.
You was going crazy in that motherfucker?
Yeah, I went crazy.
How long you went crazy?
I got down bologna sounds and shit like that.
You just went crazy. You was like, man, this shit ain't.
Yeah, man, cause that shit hard. No commissary, no kitchen. You can throw me in the cell with my tablet, that music. Man, $1,000 worth of commissary, I'm straight. I'm gonna be around eating, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm working on my crowd writing and damn, y'all ain't gonna feed us. We can't come out this motherfucker. We can't shower. I can't talk to my people. For 5 months, the bitch done got pregnant and had the baby by then. You know what I'm saying? Just on some real shit.
She moved on.
I got a couple of my homies that's still in prison. Pooh Shiesty was up there.
No way. How were they treating him?
He from down south. He's not a gang member, so he was on the south car. And the south car is kind of they're a little different. Called gunners. They like to jack off to ladies a lot. And there might be groups of them. I'm serious. Like, they stand there, somebody might got the eye shot, and like they would play with they and jack off.
People do that?
I'm telling you. You can't do it. I couldn't do it. I'm on gang time. Folks gonna put your in the door and slam that. You can't do that, but like, that's what the down south car do. Down south kind of cold. DC niggas cold too. They be mad. Niggas be mad. They be freaky. They killers, but they like butt. Them niggas will kill you and you at the same time.
A 15-second voice memo allegedly recorded inside a federal prison is spreading through Memphis group chats right now. And if the claims are true, it's about an attempt to poison one of the biggest names to come out of the city in the last 5 years. We have not heard this recording ourselves. No prison official has confirmed it exists, but multiple people say they've heard it, and what they describe has set off a wave of speculation online. So let's break down exactly what's being claimed, what's actually confirmed, why the timing couldn't be more significant, and what could realistically happen from here. The voice on the recording is said to sound unmistakably like Pooh Shiesty. According to people who describe the audio, he says someone tampered with his prison meal, he noticed something was wrong after a second bite, stopped eating, and said he believed he knew who was responsible. He reportedly refers to that person only by 2 initials, not a full name, and the message ends with a warning. If he makes it home, someone will have to answer for what happened. That's the entire claim. 15 seconds, calmly delivered according to those who've heard it. Not frantic, not emotional. And that calm delivery is part of why it spreads so fast. People find it more believable, not less. A panicked voice memo gets dismissed as someone overreacting. A calm one, describing specific details like a second bite, reads to a lot of listeners as more credible, whether or not that instinct is actually reliable. Now here's where it gets more interesting. Several people familiar with the situation say Pooh Shiesty's communication privileges inside the prison were restricted only hours after the audio started circulating. There are also reports that a scheduled family video visit was canceled around the same time. None of this has been officially confirmed, but the timing, hours after a leaked recording, is exactly why this has exploded rather than faded like most prison rumors do. If these were 2 unrelated events on 2 random days, nobody would be talking about them. It's the proximity that's driving the story. To understand why this matters so much, you need to understand where he is right now in his sentence. Lantrell Williams Jr., known as Pooh Shiesty, broke out in 2020 with Back in Blood, his collaboration with Lil Durk. It racked up hundreds of millions of views, went multi-platinum, and made him look like the next major star out of Memphis under Gucci Mane's 1017 Records. For a moment, he was one of the fastest rising names in the genre, the kind of run that usually leads to a long career, more collaborations, and a growing catalog. Then in October 2020, a deal involving sneakers and marijuana turned violent in Bay Harbor Islands, Florida. Shots were fired, 2 people were hurt, and he was identified as one of those involved. The case went federal, he pleaded guilty to firearm conspiracy, and in 2022 he was sentenced to 63 months. Because of time served and how federal sentences are calculated, his release date has been steadily approaching, putting him, by most estimates, in the final stretch of his time inside. That's exactly why this recording, if real, lands at such a critical moment. This isn't a story breaking in year 1 of a sentence, when there's little public attention either way. It's breaking right as the conversation was supposed to shift from what happens to him in prison to what happens when he gets out. New music, industry relationships, whether his momentum from 2020 can be picked back up years later. So let's talk about what's actually spreading and how. According to people describing the recording, Pooh referred to the person he suspected only by 2 initials. Since then, those 2 letters have become the center of constant speculation across social media, podcasts, and Memphis discussion circles. Some people think they point to someone in the music industry. Others think the guesses are way off. Screenshots get shared, anonymous accounts claim inside knowledge, and most of those posts disappear as quickly as they appeared. Right now, none of it is backed by real evidence, and no official investigation has named anyone. Naming a suspect based on internet guesswork isn't just premature, it's irresponsible, and we're not going to do it here. The bigger question is how a recording like this, if it came from inside a federal prison, got out and spread through multiple group chats within hours before reaching YouTube channels, blogs, and larger social platforms. That speed is part of the story itself. It's also exactly why separating fact from rumor gets harder by the hour, because every retelling adds a little more certainty than the last person actually had. So what would actually happen on the prison's end if this were true? People familiar with federal prison operations say that if administrators believed an incident involving a high-profile inmate had gone public, temporarily restricting communication while they look into it wouldn't be unusual. It's a fairly standard response to any situation that could involve safety concerns or unwanted attention. Others push back, pointing out there's no public evidence tying any administrative action to this specific recording. Communication restrictions and canceled visits can happen for all kinds of unrelated reasons, from facility lockdowns to routine scheduling issues. Both explanations are possible. Neither is confirmed, and if an inmate genuinely believed they were in danger, former corrections officials note the options are limited but real, reporting the threat, requesting protective custody, or seeking a transfer, depending on the evidence and the facility's policy. None of those are automatic. They typically involve some kind of review process, and outcomes vary case by case. There's no public indication any of those steps have happened here, but it's worth understanding what the actual process looks like rather than just speculating in a vacuum. That brings us to the transfer rumors. Alongside the recording, reports have started circulating that Pooh Shiesty could be facing a change in his placement within the federal system, possibly a move to another facility or different housing conditions. No official confirmation exists for this either, and it's worth being clear, transfers happen constantly in the federal system for reasons that have nothing to do with safety concerns, medical needs, population management, routine administrative decisions, even simple overcrowding. A transfer alone proves nothing, but combined with everything else, the recording, the restricted communication, the canceled visit, it's easy to see why people are connecting dots that may or may not actually be connected. Here's the thing about stories like this. The moment a famous person is in prison, every delay, every canceled visit, every quiet transfer gets pulled into one big narrative, even when most of those things have completely ordinary explanations on their own. That's not unique to Pooh Shiesty. It happens with basically every high-profile inmate whose case gets public attention. But it does mean we should be careful about treating coincidence as confirmation, especially when the underlying claim, a poisoning attempt, is serious enough that it deserves more than viral momentum before anyone treats it as fact. Pooh Shiesty remains in federal custody, approaching the final stage of his sentence. A short voice memo describing an alleged poisoning attempt has circulated widely, but it hasn't been independently verified. Claims about restricted communication, a canceled visit, and a possible transfer are all unconfirmed by officials. Everything else, the identity behind those 2 initials, the reason behind any administrative changes, is still speculation, no matter how many times it gets repeated online. What is certain is that his release is getting closer. Before any of this surfaced, the conversation around him was about comeback plans. Whether Gucci Mane helps relaunch his career, whether there's unreleased music waiting, what his return to the industry looks like after years away. Those questions haven't gone anywhere. They've just been temporarily buried under this new controversy. If he's released in the near future, expect intense media attention, interviews, podcasts, public appearances, and likely his first real chance to address all of this directly, if he chooses to. That moment, whenever it comes, will probably tell us more than any anonymous account or group chat screenshot has managed to so far. Until then, the timeline is simple, even if the story around it isn't. a recording that may or may not be real, a series of prison developments that may or may not be connected to it, and a release date that's getting closer, regardless of how any of this shakes out. If solid confirmation comes out, from prison officials, from his team, from him directly, we'll be the ones to break it down for you. Until then, treat every version of this story you see online with the same skepticism you'd want applied to a claim about you. What's your take? Coincidence or something more? Drop it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.